Well, thank you very much, Dawn Flanagan, for this introduction. I would like to welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, now to this webinar on challenges on licensing in the time of COVID-19. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, aviation is going through extremely challenging times. Having this in mind, we have set the objectives of this webinar to inform, guide, support, and encourage stakeholders from states, organizations, and individual license holders by highlighting the measures ICAO takes for personal licensing. Let me give you a quick overview of how we are going to meet these objectives today. We will see to these subjects. There's the role of ICAO. We will recall who and where we are and briefly see what we do for personal licensing. We will speak about the role of the parties involved. Personal licensing affects many individuals who are part of organizations that are submitted to state oversight. Hence, there are many parties involved. I will have a brief look with you on the COVID-19 website. ICAO has set up a specific website to inform all levels of aviation personnel about the operational measures taken to support states during the pandemic. I will talk about a safety net that we hold up for aviation, and there specific attention is given to a risk-based approach when extreme situations require extreme solutions. And then we will speak about return to normal operations, and there we will provide recommendations how the organization can support individuals when they prepare for return to normal operations. So let's go there. Let me provide some background about our organization and the licensing related issues we have now to set the scene. I have prepared for you some answers to the questions who we are, what we do for personal licensing, how we can help now, and what the role of all the parties involved is. What you see on the picture is the building of ICAO here in Montreal, Canada. So who we are. In a nutshell, ICAO is the aviation branch of the United Nations. We have right now 193 contracting states. Our headquarters are in Montreal, Canada, and we are governed by the Chicago Convention and its 19 annexes. The headquarters in Montreal is supported by our 8 regional offices. They are, as you can see, in all corners of the world, and they work closely together with the states of the regions where they are situated in. So what do we do? The Secretariat in Montreal provides drafts for standards and recommended practices for the contracting states to adopt. In our work, we are supported by subject matter experts from states, from industry, and also from international organizations. Today, we talk about personal licensing. And there, more specifically, I have sorted out the articles of the Chicago Convention number 32, 33, 39, and 40, and of course, Annex 1. I do not plan to do now a lecture with you on these articles, but it is important to understand at least their content, to understand the measures that are taken by ICAO and by states. So when these challenging times came towards us in January, February, March, we were asking ourselves, of course, how can we help now? Because help it was needed and is still needed. So how can an organization tasked by its 193 contracting states to support the safety of international aviation operations help in such a crisis? So first of all, we went back to the books. We reminded states of their obligations in the Convention on International Civil Aviation. So what are these obligations and where can they be found? Already on the last slide, I have named the articles and I will now shortly go through them. Article 32 contains the obligation for a pilot to carry a license and a certificate of competence. Article 33 defines that these licenses and certificates of competency shall be recognized by other states as long as they were issued in accordance with the standards of the Convention. And then Article 39 requires that all licenses that do not comply with the standards shall be endorsed with a list of the items that do not comply with the standards. This endorsement may be replaced by an attachment to the license. And finally, Article 40 allows states to refuse the recognition or acceptance of such a license. When we look at the validity of licenses and medical certificates, we have to go to Annex 1. And first of all, Annex 1 requires states to establish requirements within their national regulatory system to establish requirements for the validity of licenses and medical certificates. For the validity of licenses, Annex does not define periods of validity, but there is a link between Annex 1 and Annex 6, and Annex 6 defines a period of validity, and therefore, indirectly, for international commercial operations or air transport, we do have a period of validity. When we look at the validity of medical certificates, there Annex 1 defines the periods of validity depending on the class of medical and depending on the age of the pilot or the air traffic controller. Annex 1 also foresees the possibility of an extension of the validity date by 45 days at the discretion of the authority. So if during these challenging times, an authority decides to extend the validity of the medical certificates submitted to their oversight by 45 days, this is an already mentioned exemption in the Annex 1 and does not require any notification. Everything that goes beyond these 45 days is an exemption and requires a notification and consequently also an acceptance by other states. All these requirements we have put into a state letter. We have sent out the state letter on the 3rd of April 2020. There we have provided standardized forms to allow states not only to notify their exemptions concerning these requirements, but also to highlight if they would be able to recognize exemptions established by other states. So far, we have received answers from 154 states, which is a lot for a state letter. Let us now look at the issues that caused these measures. I will further speak about physical distancing consequences, about the solutions provided by ICAO for states following the problems resulting from this physical distancing, and I will highlight what that means for the individual license holder. So I think everyone who is on the call today was submitted to physical distancing. We have lived through it, but what it means for aviation is a huge, I don't want to say problem, I want to say challenge. It's a huge challenge to go through. What has happened? Due to physical distancing measures by states, public administration access can be disrupted entirely, and licensing authorities might not be physically able to issue licenses. Flight simulation training device access may be completely impossible due to travel restrictions. Aeromedical services access can be disrupted due to physical distancing measures. But also airports are closed, air traffic control service are reduced. Unfortunately, also many people have lost their jobs. So ICAO has provided support and help and solutions for states on a specific website. You see the link to this website here on the slide, and I would kindly ask Dawn to put this link also into the chat so that people can copy it. But you can also put it in a search engine and just search for ICAO operational safety measures, and you will also find it there. So the measures that we have taken is we have immediately thought we can support states by providing guidance material. And all the guidance material that we have prepared in this very short period of time, we have put on this website, and it is worth to have a look at it. It is worth to spend more time than just 5 minutes on this website because it provides really great support. And when we talk about guidance material to face this crisis, it does not only concern personal licensing, but there are also very valuable links to the material prepared by colleagues of mine that you will really appreciate, I'm sure. So let's have a closer look to this webpage. I will, due to time constraints of this webinar, not be able to take you through all the menu points. I will not be able to explain everything to you. But what was important for me to show you here is where can you access the information that you as a state organization has notified to ICAO, where can a state access the information that was notified by other states, and where can an individual verify if the measures taken by the state are in accordance with ICAO requirements, and where can you download this valuable information for an attachment to a license, for example. So people who open this website, the first thing that you will see is this, and there you have the left-hand vertical menu, and on this menu you see as the first point COVID-19 safety operational measures, contingency-related differences, CCRDs, COVID-19 contingency-related differences. So if you click on this on the vertical menu, this will open. It refers to the state letter that we have sent out, and it supports you when you scroll further down by providing you the possibility to access 3 different reports. And these 3 different reports will provide the information that you will want or you might want to see. We do have these three different reports. The first one is providing information grouped by states and territories. The second report providing information grouped by standard. And the third provides a link to the website of the International Air Transport Association that has used the information of report 1 and 2 for an application that is really very, very helpful. So the first report we will look at is the report by state. This is, by the way, one of the forms that we have provided to states. The form is standardized. That standardized can only be filled in by a state authority and handed in by specific representatives of these state authorities. The annex reference and the standard or recommended practice on personal licensing was filled in by ICAO. The details of the difference is provided by the state, as well as remarks that the state considers important to include, specifically mitigation measures, and then the important message to other states if a state is ready to accept measures set by other states. The last modified date should also provide the information if it is really the latest information that is online. In this case, this is a snapshot of an exemption that was provided by the country Austria on the period of validity of a medical assessment. So the second report by standard provides the identical information, but the standard, the reports are sorted by the standard. So if you're not interested in all the other exemptions the state has provided, then it is helpful just to look for the specific medical assessment standards, then it might be helpful. Just keep in mind 153 states have submitted their reports. Report number 1 right now, I checked it yesterday, has about 1,400 pages. So you're not obliged to scroll through all these pages to find your country. Control plus F works. You can look for specific countries. So these reports 1 and 2 is binding information that was verified by us, and it is controlled by us and put on the internet. This is what you will see when you click on the third report, and this will provide you with a link to the IATA page. And IATA has done something very, very nice. They have used all the CCRDs that we have published on our website and put it into a little program that is combined with a world map, and that allows states as well as organizations to determine where to send an aircraft without having to worry if my licenses or the licenses of the crew involved will be recognized or not. But please consider that this is an application that is kindly provided by IATA. ICAO is not responsible for the content. For reliable information, you are kindly requested to refer to the reports mentioned in points 1 and 2. But for a quick glance, on the other hand, this is really very helpful. So what are the consequences for license holders with the notified exemptions? There are exemptions in place for the validity of licenses, medical certificates, language proficiency assessments, recurrent training, and recency. The first three exemptions for licenses, medical certificates, and language proficiency are really directly license-related. Recurrent training and recency are more to be mentioned for Annex 6, but they have a direct implication on the individual. We have set an end date of 31st of March 2021 for all exemptions to end. Many of states have highlighted that their exemptions will end long before, but the pandemic is taking a wave movement around the world. While some states are already coming back to normal operations, other states only start with the consequences of their health measures now. So we will have to take a look, I would say every 2 or 3 months, if we will be able to keep this end date of 31st of March 2021. But for the time being, we have set it like that. Now we are changing gears a bit. This is the moment where I would like to describe to you the differentiations of the roles of the different players in this process. We have, first of all, ICAO headquarters, then the regional offices playing a very important role to support states directly. We have the roles of the ICAO contracting states, the service providers, and last but not least, the individuals. So let's start with ICAO. ICAO is here in this crisis to listen, to collaborate, and to harmonize, to enhance safety. This is our main goal. This is something you see on every slide I show on top left. Safety, this is what we breathe. Safety is our life. So we listen, we collaborate, we harmonize to enhance safety. So how do we do that? How do we listen? We listen to contracting states, and they come and say, hi, there's a problem. What do we do? What can we do? Look at other states. What should we do? There we listen. We listen to our regional offices. Regional offices have a more direct contact to contracting states, and therefore it is important to keep this communication channel very open. We also listen to industry groups. Industry groups are very often in direct contact with the headquarters and the regional offices and the contracting state. There we have to keep, and we did that already during the last 3 months more than ever, we listen to all these inputs. We collaborate. We have established subject matter experts groups for at different levels and for different subjects. For personal licensing, we're right now in the process of establishing a panel group. This is quite a high-level subject matter experts group. We have industry groups, and we have, of course, our in-house experts who are able to support us then. So we coordinate within the headquarters with our experts. This is how we collaborate. And how do we harmonize? You have to know that ICAO is governed by 193 states. So these 193 states tell us what we have to do. We can only recommend. and we can try to harmonize. And we do that through the establishment of guidance material. We have great support by the regional offices that support states to fulfill the obligations of the state letters. You remember the requirements of the Chicago Convention and the requirements of Annex 1. And we cooperate very closely with the International Air Transport Association. This is how we harmonize. What are the expected results of all these listening, collaboration, and harmonization? We expect that states apply exemptions and notify them. We expect that organizations apply mitigation measures as promised by the states. And we expect the individual license holders to show, as usual, high level of personal responsibility. So we have established a safety net, and we established the safety net through a trust framework, which we consider very, very important. So when looking at this safety net, we have to remember, and we have to remind everybody, that a risk-based approach in accordance with Annex 19 to the Convention, a safety management system, is important. We have provided specific guidance with a new document, the Doc 10144, the ICAO Handbook for CAAs on the Management of Aviation Safety Risks related to COVID-19. It's a comparably short document, but it is very dense and very helpful. And since its publication, we have had excellent feedback on its content. All our measures are considered through the eyes of human performance requirements. We are convinced that human performance should be part of every step that we take when we read these safety nets. In all our endeavors, we already consider the return to normal operations, and for this, we have included the Allocation Implementation Feedback Law. I will come to that a bit later, as well as monitoring requirements to states to say, I have to see what I do to know if it is good. So how do we build trust in states' measures? We go for a harmonized approach of exemptions. For this, we have established a flowchart, we have established QRGs, and we publish CCRD co-recognition. So I have said it before, ICAO does not have the power to order a state what to do. The only thing that we can do, we can recommend guidance and see that states apply the guidance material in a uniform way, and that will enable states to trust in the measures of other states, because they know what they have applied and they know that other states apply the same guidance, and like that we build the harmonized process and trust. So part of the guidance that we have developed is a flowchart for decision-making. It's a flowchart for decision-making of states when they are confronted with a request for an exemption, and it is a very general and helpful decision-making flowchart. And it contains at the end, when the decision is taken, we go for the exemption, a requirement of document, monitor, and review the whole process as a preparation for the end of these challenging times. So this is a flowchart that applies to any exemption. Is it for Annex 1? Is it for Annex 6? Any decision can be taken with this flowchart. The Quick Reference Guide, or QRG, provides similar decision-making support, but it is specific to a standard. The flowchart and the Quick Reference Guide are published on our website. It's on the left-hand vertical menu. You can find it there, and it's worth taking a look. So states use this flowchart and the QRGs. They send and notify their exemptions. They apply mitigation measures, and like that, states build trust in their organizations. Of course, the acceptance of an exemption of another state will require a different safety net. We need, therefore, more than ever, this feedback loop in monitoring. But that will help trust, to build trust. And then organizations build trust in individuals. Their support of the individuals to maintain performance level, enhance self-confidence, reinforce stress resilience is crucial and very important. And it is the responsibility of organizations to do that. So what can the individual license holder do to enhance, to maintain the performance level, to enhance self-confidence, and to keep stress resilience high? First of all, there are a lot of offers from big organizations such as IATA, IFALPA, AOPA, and IFATCA. They have provided great offers, and they have provided really good support in these times. The individual has to make use of it. Apart from that, it is always good for individuals to refresh their knowledge through books, online courses, or similar things. Use simulation in whatever form available. And in this difficult time, the solution may come from a friend. Do networking with other pilots, contact your approved training organization. Maybe speak to your instructor. That would be really nice. But also, for an individual, contact your authority. Keep in mind that key positions in authorities, licensing authorities, are always taken by persons who have prior worked in the industry. They have great experience, make use of it. So all these requirements, all these alleviation measures, all these measures from ICAO helps to maintain and establish a code of mail. Sometimes it's very heavy to carry this code of mail. It creases under the armpits, but it is strong, it provides confidence, and it provides help in difficult times. It is supported through the Chicago Convention, standards and recommended practices and guidance materials, by the harmonized implementation of alleviation measures, and by monitoring. But what if? In these times, we have to keep in mind the risk of cumulative alleviation measures. We have to consider it. Right now, the low density of traffic helps because the probability of incidents is rather low due to the low density of traffic, but this will change again. So the question for fitness for duty is an important one. And therefore, all levels have to promote this self-assessment before applying. Am I fit to fly? Is my performance level where it should be? Am I physically healthy? And how about my mental health? Do I trust myself? Do I have this necessary confidence, even if all these exemptions apply? And it is the responsibility of the individual, the service provider, and the regulator to support aviation by defining or by helping with techniques for fitness for duty. So this is now the time to wrap up. I have spoken to you about ICAO, its 193 contracting states, headquarters in Montreal, Canada, drafting SARPs and guidance material, 8 regional offices to support states with implementation issues. I have highlighted the details that are relevant to personal licensing in the Chicago Convention, obligation to carry a license. If it doesn't comply with the SARPs, states may refuse the entry into their territory. I have shown you alleviation measures. Where can I find the flowchart, the QRGs, the CCRDs, and the IATA link? Carry a copy of the state's alleviation measures if valid for my license. And I have spoken about building trust to remind states that the service providers are expected to ensure proper processes for the individuals working for them and managing the risks to their operations during the COVID-19 period. When we will return to normal operations, we have to accept that safety is an engagement of ideas and strategies. We have seen that all stakeholders represent a strong link in the safety net. We have talked about what if, and ICAO is confident that together with all parties involved, the Code of Mail of Aviation will remain intact and we will be able to resume normal operations and maintain safety. This brings me to the end of this webinar, but before I go, I would like to recognize the help I had preparing the slides. My respects and thanks go to states subject matter experts from the Personal Training and Licensing Group for their ideas, to ICAO colleagues from the SMS Human Factors and Medical section for their input, to colleagues who provided editorial support, and to Dawn Flanagan for moderating this webinar. And now back to you, Dawn.
Thank you very much, Gerda, for that presentation, and thanks for the thank yous. That's very kind of you. It's been a pleasure.